And now, it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Freeze in full effect.
You ready, Ron?
I'm ready.
You ready, Dave?
I'm ready, Slick. Are you?
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. I am so excited that Germany-France is going on right now.
Live.
During the show.
Real
I'm
time.
so excited to watch this game and how badly Germany gets hooked by the referees. I mean,
They're letting Germany feel like they have a chance in the first half. Germany up 5.
Wemby's going to the gold medal game.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's happening.
If Adam Silver didn't orchestrate this coup, certainly the Macron family has in France hosting the Olympics, getting his guy through to the gold medal game.
It's all Bridget. She's a big Wemby fan.
Yeah. That's Mrs. Macron?
I think so.
The elder?
The teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. She loves Wemby.
Macron? Am I saying it wrong? I'm sure I am.
Whatever. You get them to the finals. You know what's good for you. I would say the Tower of London, but that's a different country. Where did the man in the Iron Mask go?
I've not seen that movie.
That was France. Well, it was a book first, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not reading it.
Really? Because that seems kind of up your alley, actually.
I've not read, what's his name, who wrote Three Musketeers, etc.
Oh, as soon as you say it, it'll...
Starts with the D.
Anyway, I haven't seen that movie.
Dumas.
Yeah, there
Alexander Dumas.
Yeah, the Leo movie. Haven't caught that, which actually isn't a bad movie. But where did they have that guy? That's where they're sending the referees if France does not prevail.
Again, my fiance is in Paris right now, covering these basketball games, and I'm sure when she gets back, we will do the thing that you do when you travel abroad, which is, let's watch every movie that's ever taken place in that city or that country. So we will be knee-deep in French films. So, yes.
Oh, I hope they show a replay. Watch this. This German player just gets hacked, and it goes off his knee. They're like, French ball! It started already. 30-25, Germany does have the lead with 3.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. How you doing over there, Ben? You good?
Excellent. Yeah, life's good.
Not bad? You're not lonely?
Dumas also wrote Man in the Iron Mask, so
yeah, exactly.
all related. Yeah, that's why I figured.
Right.
I figured. I just wanted to.
You're like a mile behind
I just
here.
wanted to make sure. I told you I hadn't read Three Musketeers. I just want to make sure we were all in the same prolific. Life's good. Things are good. I'm excited for these games. These guys are really playing hard. You can tell now that they've gotten to the semifinals and the finals. These dudes are really going for it. And the women will be as well tomorrow.
Man in the Iron Mask, I believe, happens after the Three Musketeers.
They all related? Like it's the same characters?
Right.
I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that. I didn't know he was one of the, is it D'Artagnan or whatever his name is? That's who it is?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I should read them.
He's in The Man in the Iron Mask, yes.
He's the mask?
No.
He's the masked man?
No. No.
Yeah, see, now I'm confused.
He's in that book, though.
He's
all
not in
are.
the mask.
But
They
he's
are?
not in the mask.
The Musketeers are in the mask.
Yes. In The Man in the Iron Mask, not in the mask
Okay.
itself.
Now, who's the Count of Monte Cristo?
Now, that's different. No, that is not the same thing at all.
But also written by Alexander Dumas.
Yeah, go Germany. I hope Germany wins. Feels weird to say. Hope Germany wins against France. Haven't said that ever. But in this basketball game, however, the French and the referees, I hope, suffer defeat. But I doubt it. I think the fix is in.
I think so, too. I think it's going to be a tough close for Germany. And then Team USA in action later today against Nikola Jokic.
Like, do you trust the, what am I looking for here? The integrity of international sport administration?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't either. Like at all.
Nope, I don't.
Not in the slightest.
And that is probably a little bit of Zionism from me, of just belief that we do things right. And I'm sure they view the same things that, they'll never let the, X, Y, and Z lose when they get to Los Angeles. I'm sure this conversation, do you think they do sports radio in France?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably talking soccer. Somebody's talking soccer. But I'm sure they look at, the World Cup being hosted here, and they're like, yeah, well,
get ready.
Who traditionally are a terrible team, they're going to be advancing out of pool play.
And you know what? Funny enough, that usually happens.
It does. Believe it or not, it does usually work in that way.
This comes back to random way to start the show, but like why I do believe in the frozen envelope to a certain extent. Hey, if you bribe us enough to get an Olympics, we'll get some of your teams some high profile stuff. You know what I mean? Or if you bribe us enough to get the World Cup, all right, we'll get you out of the pool play and get you into the knockout. You get to hire the referees, if you will. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But in the NBA, you pay a $1 billion premium for a franchise, and I'll see what we can do about getting you a number 1 pick.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure out how to arrange it so it works in your favor. No question about it.
See what we can do.
Yeah, and whether it's real or not, it certainly feels that way.
Oh, it's real. It really was a thing to watch. France against Canada. It really was something to behold.
And we will see how this wraps up.
She mentioned the infamous one against the Americans where they got 3 opportunities to win the gold.
I can't remember if it was Russia or what it was, but yeah,
it was Russia.
1970 something. They had 3 chances over the final 3 seconds. They kept replaying the final play, saying, "Oh, we didn't start the clock right," or whatever. It was 3
until they finally made it. They're like, "Oh, that one counted."
That one counted. So.
Or the Russian judges here in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
The figure skating judges.
Yep. Yeah. Or the famous storming the field for Utah and BYU.
Did you see that there was an Australian field hockey player that got busted for cocaine?
Oh.
Yeah. Buying some
buying?
But the reason I'm bringing it up is just a little celebration. Come on. They just got done with their event. You know what? They've been working really hard. They're in Paris.
You can't chill for 10 minutes. You can't take 2 days off while you're at the Olympics.
That's what I'm saying.
You psychopath.
And maybe this field hockey player got a little carried away. I'm certainly not going to endorse buying illegal narcotics, but just let him celebrate a little bit. A little grace for this field hockey player who probably just got a little carried away.
Yeah.
Tony, I don't care how much blow I'm doing. If you tell my wife to leave me, I'm not going to be happy about it.
That's an old one.
Really old.
And has Tony in it.
Yeah. Let's re-record that. Drop my name in there.
I take it you're up in arms. You're angry at this field hockey player.
I'm always embarrassed for people who make the worst decisions of their life at the biggest moments of their life.
When they make news? Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a difficult thing.
It's one thing to make a mistake. It's another to make news with that mistake. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, the British hurdler who fell that we were laughing at yesterday, that's one thing. You'd be like, well, that is the nature of the business. You're going to fall jumping over a hurdle. That's why they put the hurdles out there, to encourage you to fall. If they didn't want you to fall, they would just get rid of the hurdles and let you run the race flat. But they want to make it more difficult. So you fall, that's fine. The self-inflicted, I got caught purchasing narcotics at the Olympic Games is a different animal.
Who was the Atlanta Falcon that got caught with a prostitute the night before the Super Bowl? What was that guy's name? It was a safety. Eugene something.
Yeah, just chill.
It's
let
like
your
life's lowest moment.
Let your vices not command you.
At least at that moment.
And I'm not advocating for anything we have talked about at the moment, as far as using them in moderation. Abstain from drugs and anything else. But man, just if they are controlling you at the Olympics or before the Super Bowl, that is the girl who had the horrible national anthem before the home run derby, who's like, I know this. I'm supposed to be here to celebrate my album dropping. It's the biggest moment of my life, and I had to get drunk before. that is maybe the time to check into the facility. That might be the time to go see somebody and get some help.
Oh, I don't think this field hockey player necessarily needs help. I just think this was one thing led to another kind of thing. I've told you this story.
Here's the thing: they're still in the middle of the tournament, right?
Are they? I don't.
Why,
I assumed
why would
they were.
care if the tournament's over?
Or assume they're out already.
Maybe they're out already.
And sticking around to the closing ceremonies and
Just want to get through.
I've told you this story before that my buddy worked at a gas station downtown during the Olympics. And speaking of that crooked Russian judge, the figure skating pair that he hooked the tournament for went into my buddy's gas station at like 2:00 in the morning after that competition and bought like 230 rails of beer and a carton of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, what's going on? You guys are, I guess, going for a good time. And he's like, this is literally the only period of time, the only few hours they have in between preparing for some world-class event where they have to be uber disciplined and can't have any fun at all. And so they take these few hours after the competition is over to really let it loose. It's like, okay, that makes some sense. I think this field hockey player just got a little carried away. I'm going to let it loose a little bit. I'm in Paris. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, Captain. Be here for a few days on the Aussie dime.
Let's not.
But
not
she
make
took
it happen.
She took it a little too far. I'm assuming it's a she, right? Field hockey.
It's a man.
Oh, it's
actually.
a guy?
Yeah, they were eliminated earlier this week in the quarterfinals.
See? He's just bumming around Perry, blowing off some steam.
Now he's just an international criminal. This isn't an Olympic
Well,
scandal.
yeah, I wouldn't want to go to jail in a foreign country either, but,
Tom Craig is his name.
Tom Craig.
Wow, we were really going after Tom. What are his parents' name? What's his address? Where did he go to high school? Let's dox this guy. Tom Craig.
Well, he is a member of a
Sure.
national
He has
Olympic
outed himself.
team. Yeah,
he has put himself in the spotlight.
I think that is a thing. Tom got a little carried away. He was like the figure skaters with the beer and the cigarettes, but he took it a little further.
It was the bubble. The NBA bubble and all the players who got themselves in trouble. Who's the former Jazz guy? Who was the weirdo?
Oh, man, this is getting salacious. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Who was the guy who played for the Jazz and played for the 76ers? Daniel House. Remember Daniel House left, apparently to quote-unquote buy a burrito? Was that what it was?
I know Lou Williams
He was
went
the
to Atlanta
chicken
to go
wings.
get some chicken wings.
Yeah, he went to Magic City or whatever.
You know they named chicken wings after him?
They did.
After that?
Yeah.
Well, that's some pretty amazing advertising, to be honest. I mean, Ben just named the name of the joint. Now, he's been there several times.
Yeah, I didn't know what the name was. Thanks, Ben.
Ben's a regular.
Also never been.
Right this way, Mr. Anderson. Your normal table is right over here.
He Daniel House invited someone into the bubble and got them in somehow.
What do you mean somehow?
That apparently I think was locked down. Apparently that was the only safe spot in our country at the time.
There had to be a million different ways to get people in there. It's not like, see, that's why everybody always thinks that there was like armed machine guards, guards with guns. Thank you. Keeping everybody out. It was Disneyland or Disney World or whatever.
NBA investigation showed that Daniel House had a guest in his hotel room for multiple hours on September 8th who was not authorized to be on campus.
I bet
Interesting.
I bet they weren't. Remember the Donovan Mitchell video game, or what was that? A Snap Talk Instacast or something?
Yes, I do.
You had to think that sort of thing. I told you this too. If I were an NBA player, I would pull my agent aside and I'd say, "This is the contraband that I want while I'm in the bubble, and if I don't have it here by noon tomorrow, I'm finding a new agent." Guarantee that agent would succeed.
Yeah.
Like, I would like my girlfriend present to have a picnic lunch.
I mean, the fact that reporters were going down there, which I'm glad the NBA let reporters in, but it wasn't like it was the most difficult, choose my words lightly here, most difficult area to get yourself into.
Right. No,
It's
and,
a word I'm
and
trying
I
to
bet
avoid
you,
using.
I bet you this, and I don't know this for a fact, but I bet you this, that there's this weird what happened in the bubble stays in the bubble kind of thing, even amongst the reporters. Does that make any sense?
Yes, especially amongst the reporters.
Especially amongst the reporters.
That's already a road code I've learned.
Especially amongst the reporters. I bet you
But you had a family back home. No, we're on the road. It
I
doesn't
bet
matter.
you we know
What?
about 10% of what happened in that situation.
Did you ever hear the Ursan Ilyasova rumors?
Yeah.
Ursan Ilyasova. Anyways.
Anywho. All right.
What a
we
start to the show.
Got the top 3 stories coming up. Go Germany. Let's see
Tied
what
at the half. They already brought it back.
And wait, the Germans weren't they favored? What did you
The
say
20-minute
yesterday?
game.
Like 6-point favorites?
5.5 was the spread. Yeah.
5.5. Yeah.
Trending well.
Yeah, sure is. I didn't actually make it out to the desert yesterday. I should have.
Yeah.
Really should have.
Should have gone for it.
All right, stay tuned. More Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. 2 locations to serve you, one on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other at Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. All right, Christian, where are we starting today?
Number 1, we've got fallout from the Lowry Markkanen extension.
We focused a lot on the number, Jake, the $220 million in new money and the $238 or $240, whatever it is, total, including what he's got this season. And I think what I've overlooked so far is that the Jazz have Lowry for 5 years now, if they want him. 5 years, I wouldn't bet on anyone being on any one team in the NBA.
Right.
But you have 5 years of total control over him if you want them. Do you view that as a framework of this Jazz rebuild, or how do you think that changes the way the Jazz view this rebuild, knowing that if they want Lowry to be a key piece, they've got 5 years. There's no real urgency that you're going to lose him in a year or two.
So how does it change it?
How does it change it? Does it, your financials are pretty safe because Lowry's the only guy you're paying long term, outside of the fact that you've got all these rookie contracts, and some of them will turn into good deals, and some of them will be guys who aren't in the NBA anymore.
I don't think it changes anything. I mean, you've been telling me and our listeners that this is what they were going to do for how long now?
Yeah.
Since the season ended, before the season ended.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It doesn't change anything in my mind. I mean, if they would have taken a king's ransom from Golden State, I mean, that would have been a surprise to me. I don't know how real that was or was not from happening or whatever. But if that did happen, that would have been a surprise to me. This is what I thought was going to happen all along. So it doesn't really change anything. I would still bet against that he sees the end of this contract in a Jazz uniform. I think that is
Okay.
I think that is less or more likely than it is less likely. If we can talk about both those scenarios, if you want. If he ends up seeing the end of this deal, Ben, it's because the Jazz rebuilt really quickly and were able to get it going in an Oklahoma City-like direction in the next, you want to say 2 years? Does that sound about right?
Yes, and I think that's probably why I asked you this question.
And I don't think that's likely. So at that point, you have to make a difficult decision. Do you flip Lowry, or do you think, you're close enough? But whatever, you delay that decision for 2 years.
I think that's where I wanted to go with this conversation or this question, and I was curious where you would take it, because had you made the trade with Golden State or whoever, I think you could have thrown any framework of a timeline out the window. We just wouldn't have known, right? The Jazz are totally back to basically step zero.
Yeah, without a best player.
Without a best player, you're handing the ball over to Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Pajemski or Keontae Jordan. You don't know.
Yeah, nobody.
You don't know who you're handing the ball over to. Maybe it's just Colin Sexton. But even then, if you had traded Lowry, Colin's right behind him. You're totally stripping it down. And I don't think that's where the Jazz are now. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the NBA next season. I think they will be. So they are kind of at the beginning of the rebuild in that sense, that they're still going to get worse, add a top talent in the draft, and then start building from there. But I do think this 5-year window that you have with Lowry gives it a little bit more framework of when this thing's going to come together. Because honestly, had they traded Lowry this year, I would have said, I don't know if the Jazz make the playoffs in the next 3 or 4 years.
But there's no guarantees on the team, though.
There's not.
There's still not a guarantee that he's part of the framework, honestly. At least not in my opinion. I mean, because it's not a one-man team. If the team's not ready to go when he's at the meat of this contract, well, then you've got to look around.
And may not. I mean, the meat of the contract could still be next year.
It could, absolutely. Well, it can't be next year.
They could trade him next summer, right?
Next summer, but
not
next
year.
season.
At
right.
this point, next season, look, the Jazz could get to a point where, the comp here would be is, let's say the Jazz have their own top 10 pick, but it's not quite where they want, or maybe it's the 3rd pick, and they say that's not going to fit with what Lowry is. We really want to rebuild around this one guy. Can we add a 2nd top 10 pick, trading Lowry to a team that feels they are close to winning a title, that had a bad year and ended up with Lowry? And the comp there being that the Cavaliers drafted Andrew Wiggins, signed LeBron James, and traded him for Kevin Love. Could the Jazz be in that spot next year where a team says, hey, we don't want to add another top 10 pick. We're too close to winning a title. And maybe it's Golden State. Maybe it's Golden State as soon as next year. We think we could still win a title. We want Lowry. We'll give you a top 10 pick. Maybe the Jazz could still revisit those types of trades and reset this thing again versus this 5-year window I'm talking about that you have with Lowry that gives you a little bit more structure than you had previously if you didn't know if he was going to be on the roster.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. The flexibility is still there, which is absolutely their best asset.
A huge plus.
Until they make up their mind on when to strike. And as we've laid it out so many times, we've seen Danny Ainge do it like 3 different ways throughout his career. So, I mean, he's going to figure out which one is best.
And having 5 years is nice.
Yeah.
Better than having 3.
Well, it's better than somebody walking out the door or making you desperate.
I remember how remarkably quick it felt that the window was closing for the Rudy and Donovan era. Even though you drafted both of them and they were young and you had team control and you knew they were going to re-sign their second deals with you because they were restricted free agents, they basically had to. The Jazz set up that window that, oh man, they have to start winning right before you sign those guys to their max contracts because then you're not going to be able to afford Bojan Bogdanovic and Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles and Royce O'Neal down the line. That window got abbreviated really quickly. Having 5 years now to work with Lauri Markkanen feels like you've got a bigger opportunity and a more wide open window to build this roster than you even did when you had guys like Donovan and Rudy.
Don't look now, Ben. France on top, 36-35 in the 3rd quarter. Expect that to snowball. That's what I'm saying. France is going to win.
38-35, yeah. It's growing.
Going to happen.
It's going to be a 25-point game by the end of this one.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, the NFL preseason continues tonight.
Why didn't you just say Ben watched Hard Knocks last night? Just to annoy Jake. I watched Hard Knocks last night.
You did.
Is it out already? I didn't realize it was out already.
The first episode's out. It's awesome. I'm all on. I'm all in on the Chicago Bears this year. I'm all in on Caleb Williams. We're winning it all, my Bears. Buddy, we're going for it. Everything's good in Chicagoland. Couldn't be better.
I never would have taken you for somebody who swallows propaganda. So hook, line, and sinker. How did they portray fingernails?
Oh, he's the Messiah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have. Can I spoil it, or is it gonna be
yes? Mean? No, please spoil it.
You know the old Chicago Bulls intro, dun, 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 that music.
I'm gonna vomit.
And then they have the Chicago Bulls announcer who brought in Michael Jordan. They did it basically for Caleb Williams.
So gross.
It was incredible. I had goosebumps. I have goosebumps now thinking about how good it was and how good the Chicago Bears are going to be and how I think there's a real chance we're talking about Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears 12 months from now.
Now, I know you're doing this just to bother me. Like, I'm aware that you're doing this just to bother me, and it's still bothering me.
The head coach is a genius. The young talent is unbeatable. DJ Moore is the best receiver in the NFL. It's all fixed. I saw it. I watched Hard Knocks last night, and every problem the Bears have had for the last, 28, 30 years?
All solved.
Have been fixed.
All fixed.
Because they drafted Caleb. That's how I felt watching it, and it was awesome. So I'm geeked for the NFL to be back.
Who's the hack actor who narrates it? Who showed up?
Excuse me, Liv Schreiber is no hack.
Who showed up in person to lick Aaron Rodgers' boots?
He did.
Aaron Rodgers called him the voice of God.
Did he show up to lick Caleb's boots?
No, but we'll see if he gets there. Oh, yeah, Liv Schreiber. That guy rules. Anywho, preseason action tonight. Getting back to where we started.
And it's not the Bears.
Panthers at Patriots. Who cares? It's the Bears season, buddy. This is the Bears league. Everyone else is just participating. Panthers at Patriots tonight, 5 p.m. NFL Network. Lions at Giants, also 5 p.m. Not on the NFL Network.
All right. Well, there you go. NFL football's back.
Week 1 preseason is arguably the worst. Inarguably, I should say. It's just terrible. There's nothing to watch. But it is the football, and people like the football. So I will have it on. I'll be making my kids dinner. I'm going to be hanging out in my kitchen. I like having it on in the background. We're back, baby. And it starts with Hard Knocks, and it carries over to preseason football.
By the way, I'm often a traditionalist on some things, but get rid of as many preseason games as you possibly can. Like, it's so inconsequential. You know what's great about college football is that there's no preseason games. And yes, every team out there sucks week 1, but we bake that into the cake.
Yeah, right. That's part of it.
Yeah, that's part of it. We bake it into the cake.
You play Florida, you don't know if you're going to beat them. Because you might be better than they are. You might not. It's preseason. You don't know what that goal line stand's going to look like. So everyone's going to make the same mistakes.
Have a good camp then.
Yeah, have a good camp. Be ready to go. I'm with you. Limit preseason as much as possible. But I will be watching because I am a stupid person.
Well, I do understand you have to figure out a way to cut people, like to evaluate and cut people. I suppose I understand that part of it, which is your favorite part of Hard Knocks, where they crush the aspirations and souls of people in live time. And Liv says, and he was cut today, and his dreams were destroyed.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good Liv Schreiber.
I have no idea what the guy sounds like. Some celebrities or whatever famous voices, you can hear them in your head. I can't hear his.
NFL's always had the best voices, whether it was NFL Films or whatever. They nailed it with Liv. That's not a guy I would have thought did that well, but he's great.
Man, if you can make your money as a voiceover actor as opposed to a normal actor, that's the direction.
Probably why Liv does it. He's like, yeah, I didn't make a movie in the last 3 years.
Sit behind a microphone and just record about 10 minutes of stuff and then cash my check. Why do you think Cliff Clavin, you haven't seen that guy in any sort of TV since Cheers?
He did Toy Story.
Every Pixar movie has Cliff Clavin in it.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, he did Toy Story, and he was like, oh, man, life's great. I can build a recording studio in my house. It cost me $4,000 to get the best quality recording studio in my house. I never have to leave.
And good news, I don't have to get so much plastic surgery that I look like an alien just to somehow cling on to this dream. I can get old in my basement.
What's his name? John Ratzenberg?
Yeah,
name?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Hire that guy's agent. All right, next.
Coming up today at 1, United States basketball will be taking on Nikola Jokic and Serbia.
We've been updating you on France, Germany also. 5 minutes left in the third quarter. France up 48-45.
Pretty confident that Team USA is going to beat Serbia.
This has, I guess with the exception of Canada being there, these are the teams we expected. Maybe Australia could have been into this mix, but if I had to pick 4 teams that I thought would be in competition to medal, I definitely would have picked 3 of these. I would have said France, I would have said USA, and I think I would have said Serbia because of Jokic. I probably would have thrown Canada in over Germany, though. But they didn't have a chance because they ran into France too early in the tournament. And the refs were not going to have it.
The refs were not having it.
Not possible.
France is getting at least silver in this thing. You bet your bottom dollar.
Silver last time. This broke pretty well for Team USA. Now, it doesn't matter. Any of these teams Team USA faced, they would have felt like, yeah, we're better than that team. But,
they are going to call the gold medal game between France and the U.S. so close. I mean, it's going to be...
Yeah, LeBron's going to have 5 fouls.
At least. I mean, it's going to be a whistle...
A whistle a minute.
A whistle a minute. I mean, they are going to call it by the book. You're going to see the referee with the French translation of the rule book over there reading every single syllable because they're going to keep it tight.
This should be the best test for Team USA so far because, A, it's the semifinal, so this is it. You got to win. This is win or go home. B, Serbia's better than who they just beat, Brazil. Mm-hmm. And C, this is the third time they played Serbia. So there's some familiarity there. Now, familiarity also helps for the team that's winning these games. They also know what Serbia doesn't do well, and they will exploit that.
Who do you think would win in a basketball game? Brazil or the Wasatch Academy?
Or whatever team has AJ DeBonsta right now, the future number 1 overall pick 2 years from now, who's considering going to BYU. I mean, probably Brazil because it's a bunch of grown men, but it would be a fight. Like, I think they would beat Japan. With all due respect to Rui Hachimura, I think they would beat Japan.
Okay, yeah, probably. That's what I wonder.
Give them a whole season, not today. Give them a season of basketball. Let them play after they've built some chemistry over how many games do you play in high school basketball? 20, 30?
Yeah, something like that.
Let them play 30 games together, 20 games together. Then let them go play Japan. You play 3 times. I'm gonna bet on Wasatch Academy or whoever to win one. Right? Because Wasatch Academy should have 3 or 4 NBA players on it.
But the U.S. could have lost. I mean,
I never said they could lose to Tokyo or Japan. Excuse me.
They could have lost in this tournament. Oh, France up on Germany, 48-47. 4 minutes to go in the third. I'll look at the foul count here during the break. It hasn't seemed as egregious
no.
as the other day. But you know what? The fourth quarter is yet to come.
Yeah, right. You don't want to make it obvious. Just keep it close to the fourth, and then you can really work your magic with a couple of well-timed calls.
Or no calls.
Yeah, or no calls.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ben, want to remind you about Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach Doors and Windows, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255, Peach Doors and Windows. It is an RSL Thursday. Let's give away some tickets. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. And you're going to win a pair of tickets to go see RSL take on San Jose, the Earthquakes, on August 24th at America First Field. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. Ben, you and I often like to discuss our shortcomings.
They're so plentiful.
I've got a good one that happened to me yesterday.
Okay.
Or just dumb behavior. Everybody, I don't think this is quite as good as me driving on the golf course in front of all the important decision-making people of the Miller Group. But this one's pretty good. As you know, I told you I've been battling like some sort of mucusy head thing.
Yeah.
And so I bought some cold medication over the counter the other day because I ran out and I had to go get some more. So I bought the nighttime and daytime packet because I needed both, right? And so I open it up let me put it this way. We were going out as a family to some other friend's house for dinner, some friends we haven't seen in a long time. Not a party per se, but just hanging out and having dinner and coming home early, right? Well, I take my cold medication in the afternoon, about an hour before we go out to dinner or go over to the friend's house for dinner. And we're waiting on my wife. The kids are all ready. We're waiting on my wife to finish up a meeting, and then we're going to leave. And I'm not kidding, Ben. I can't keep my eyes open. I'm falling asleep on the couch. I put a show on for the kids. I put a show on for the kids, and I'm like, I'm sorry, kids. I need a moment to just sit here and get it together. I'm not kidding. I'm falling asleep.
You have drugged yourself.
My wife rouses us to go because we need to go. And I feel so bad. These are wonderful people that we had dinner with. But I was a bump on the log, lethargic the whole time.
Yep.
I mean, these are people I was actually really looking forward to seeing. And I'm just sitting there the whole dinner like, oh.
Slept through it. Blacked out. Jake blacked out for 24 hours. Thanks to his Sudafed.
So this morning, I get up, and here's where I've got to defend myself. So I go to take some medication this morning, and the color of the pills, one is yellow and one is orange. And I find out the daytime is yellow, but the nighttime is orange. Doesn't the nighttime pill, it has to be like blue
yes,
or
right. NyQuil
purple
has
or something saying that it's nighttime.
One of the great things on our planet right now that we have done, and I don't think it was regulated, I don't know why it is, but we've all agreed that every grocery store has the same code for bananas. Have you noticed that? You have to plug in your code? It's 4011. It doesn't matter what grocery store you go to.
One?
When you look up the item to plug it in to weigh the bananas that you're buying, it's 4011. We need to be that exact same way with, yes, things like pills where NyQuil is orange in the day or DayQuil is orange. NyQuil is blue or bluish green.
Yep.
You can't mix that up on people.
No.
You can't throw a wrench into that.
It ruined me last night.
Yeah, that has to be an agreed upon
And
rule.
I didn't know. I was actually really scared for my health because I didn't really know what was going on. Because I thought I'd just taken
Jake's
the
had
normal.
an aneurysm.
I'm going, what is the matter with me?
No, he took NyQuil.
I'm not kidding. Passing out on the couch. Just kids, I got to put on a show because I got to get off my feet for a second.
Tylenol
The
PM.
Next thing I know, I'm falling asleep. Totally rude
Jake's
to our
in the
friends.
guest bedroom sleeping.
Oh, man, I caught myself multiple times just sitting there. Thank goodness I had a chair that was, I'm not going to say it wasn't uncomfortable per se, but it wasn't a cushy chair. It was like a dining chair, that had a hard back. And I think that really, because I caught myself zoning out like several times, like just staring at something, being like, oh, I'm being such rude company right now. I hope it looks like I'm listening and not
being a chair,
not passing away on my feet. Oh, it's terrible. And then this morning I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense. I did it totally wrong. Yeah, come on, regulate the colors. We need to agree upon one color. That's easy to do.
Oh, man. God, I do stupid stuff sometimes. I hope everybody else does something stupid every once in a while just so I don't feel abnormal. I should have read the packaging. How many people out there are like, well, you should have read the
mystery
thing.
Pills.
Yeah, you should have read the thing, you moron. It's like, I know. Cow.
I'm glad you're here.
Horrible.
Glad you
Me
made it
too.
today. Yep.
All right, stay tuned. Jeremiah Jensen's going to join us in the next segment. We'll ask him if he, like Ben, thinks Team USA is going to lose in the next two games. Stay tuned. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.